It has been a while, but we are finally back for another match day of the 2025 to 2026 PFL season. It's going to be match number 66, and it's going to be between the defending champions Kaya FC Iloilo and Don Bosco Garelli United, coming to you straight from the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. My name is Diego Cordero, and alongside me is former national team player Natasha Alquiros Dayton. Natasha, it's absolutely wonderful to be back here in the PFL, isn't it?
Fantastic to be back. PFL action, and it's so good to be back here, especially at the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium for our opening fixture this weekend. Kaya FC Iloilo, as you've mentioned, the defending champions, currently number 2 in the standings, taking on a very revamped, refreshed Don Bosco Garelli United.
As you mentioned,
Doesn't look it on their social media page. They're quite slow to post on that, but later on we'll get into it. But for now, let's take a look at the season standings so far.
here are your standings as of today. As you can see, a very, very tight top half of the table. You have so little space between the teams in first place all the way up to 6th place. And yeah, it's going to be a really entertaining remainder of the season because of this race for higher spots in the championship round. Every game matters, doesn't it, Natasha? It doesn't matter also if you're playing against a team you'd likely say you're gonna beat. Every point matters at this point of the table.
Exactly. And if Kaya want to make sure to stay in the running for the title contention, they must get a good scoreline against Don Bosco Garelli United. The first time that these two teams went up against each other in that first round, Kaya FC Iloilo won 7-1 against Don Bosco Garelli United. But of course, it feels like ages ago and a different team back then, most especially for the side of Garelli.
It was a result that I'm sure Don Bosco Garelli United do not want to repeat today. For Kaya, they'll be hoping for more of the same. It's actually a lineup from Kaya that is also slightly different coming into this match today. So for those of you who are not aware, it is February, but unlike the other leagues in the world, the transfer window is still open. It's actually going to be open for quite some time until the end of February, I believe, which means that you're going to see a lot of chopping and changing from these teams. A lot of teams are going to look completely different from how they looked in round 1, and even how they looked when the teams played last in January a few weeks ago, because a couple teams were able to get their match day underway in January before we took another break. But as we mentioned, and as we look at the previous game, it was business as usual from Kaya in that fixture.
In the first 10 minutes, both teams shaky. Don Bosco Garelli had a couple of chances early on, but after a while, it was Kaya that really took the driver's seat. It started with those chances. It was wave and wave, attempt after an attempt, continuously finding themselves in the attacking third. Defensive errors that Kaya really took advantage of. This was the opening goal from Angeles. And after that first goal, floodgates really opened for the side of Kaya FC.
Of course, Kaya FC Iloilo, as you already mentioned, Natasha, second in the table of the PFL. So they have 8 wins, but 2 losses, which is actually a bit surprising considering how undefeated they went in previous seasons. But they're still in a really good position. No longer have to play international matches, so full focus is on the PFL. And I think they're still in a good position. Maybe perhaps not setting the same standard that we've been used to seeing a couple seasons ago, but you know, they're the defending champions, and it's still going to take quite a lot for any of the other teams in the PFL to topple them over as we see them warming up today. Do you have any expectations from the Kaya team going forward for the rest of the PFL, Natasha?
Oh, you expect them to be highly competitive, especially with the changes that they've made and players that they've added on to this lineup. In the first 11 for today's match, 5 changes from their last fixture against Maharlika just a couple of weeks ago. Toyoda gets a start, his first start for Kaya FC. Cortez will be the player in between the sticks. Zambrano gets a start over Eso. And it's also a chance for Mirbach, the new attacking player, to take center stage and to show Kaya what he's made of. And as well as Abukas gets a start over Melisa, but will channel into Julius Alexander Mirbach, a player newly signed, a Norwegian striker for Kaya FC. And it's say a good signing for them because they've been lacking really with players up on top to be able to find the back of the net, especially to assist the likes of Mike Odd.
Exactly right, Natasha. Julius Mirbach, the new striker, is Filipino-Norwegian, 25-year-old, coming straight out of the third tier of Norwegian football. He is a prospect for a possible national team call-up because, as I'm aware, he doesn't currently hold a Philippine passport, but some people behind the scenes may be working towards that. So it is definitely a possibility. He's made the jump to Asia, to the Philippines, and a possible call-up in the future perhaps. But now let's take it to the coaching staff of Kaya FC Iloilo.
It's actually our team atmosphere is really good because of last game against Maharlika we won. So starting really good this year. So hopefully we will get 3 points today. So it will be really good for us. Thank you.
And that just wraps it out for Kaya FC Iloilo. Now moving on to their opponents today, Don Bosco Garelli United, currently sitting in 9th place in the PFL. But as you said, Natasha, it's actually a really new look Don Bosco Garelli team because they've made quite a number of changes in this transfer window. So they have one win this season. That's their only win actually, because it came against Valenzuela PB Menjole. It was a 2-1 victory, and other than that, it's been constant losses. They kept it close actually against Maharlika, but other than that, they've suffered big losses at the hands of those teams at the top of the table. But from today, it's a refreshed team, new signings. Do you think this is a chance for them actually to make a good start to the new year? They also didn't play in January, so this is their first game of 2026.
The last time that Bosco Garelli played was in November 30, so it's been a while since Garelli have played, but you feel that they are a team that are constantly trying to improve. And for this transfer window, as you mentioned, they've been busy buying players, young players most especially, to really fill in the gaps so that they can be a bit more competitive coming into the second round. They've only played 8 games so far. And if you take a look at the first 11 on Don Bosco Garelli United, I can only mention one name two players who are still in the first 11 from their last lineup, and that would be Mahinay and Yamaguchi. Besides that, changes all around from the goalkeeper, Wat Shamrad, who played for Stallion, if I'm not mistaken, just last window, and is now playing for Don Bosco Garelli in that backline. Ian Edie, a player from Maharlika, now jumping ship for Garelli. They also have a new center back, Karim Chahin, a Lebanese center back, who is half Lebanese and half Filipino.
That's right.
So we were told, and has played for the U17 national team of Lebanese.
Exactly right. A lot of new signings, a lot of foreign signings, but the player we want to highlight for this afternoon for Don Bosco Garelli is actually a homegrown signing, and the player who may be familiar to a lot of Filipino football fans. This is Jerome Abarca, straight out of UAAP football. He last played for the University of the East not too long ago, but he has made the jump to pro football. Nice to see that a UAAP player has made the jump to the PFL, and he has been given the trust to start against Kaya FC Iloilo. Now let's take it, before we move on to their team again, let's take it now to the coaching staff of Don Bosco Garelli United.
So during the break, we have a reconstruction of the team. We are focusing more on the attack because last season we have a lot of chances, but now we will try to get those scores, and then we try for this season, for this half, we will try to be a Garelli who is more of attacking. So we attack as one, we defend as one. So expectation of the day for today is everyone is eager to play, and we are expected that the new players will show up, deliver what we grind for the last 2 months, 3 months, most of them 3 months. And for the new players and the old players, we're very excited to show what we trained for, what's our hard work and fruit of our labor for the last break. So that's it.
Don Bosco were very productive over the Christmas and January break. And it's not a guarantee of success, but I'm pretty sure it's a sign of intent when you have so many new faces in your lineup. Do you think that that could be the spark actually for them, Natasha, going into the second round?
Definitely so. Knowing DB Garelli, as the coach mentioned, they want to show a more attacking squad. They don't want to just continuously be on the defensive end, and of course with those big margin results against big teams, they're showing the intent that they want to be more competitive and are putting their signings to the test in their first matchup for today.
Now we will take it live for the march-in. Banjo Mahinay and Audie Menzi, the two team captains for today's match, with our match officials. To clarify, our referee today is Samuel Mendoza, and he will be assisted by Brian Buergo and Relly Balila, with the fourth official being Rodney Leble. So there we have it. We have our lineups for this afternoon. And one might say it is a bit of a one-sided match, but I think deep down it actually is a very exciting match because you have a team in Don Bosco that are refreshed and that have been productive over the transfer window. We also see Kaya also being productive. Signings to bolster their title defense. And yeah, it's been a debut. It's going to be a debut for Mirbach and Toyoda, who is also the other new signing from Kaya, a center back from Japan.
So that was 6 changes for the side of Kaya FC, who started 2026 on a fantastic note, winning 2-0 against Maharlika just a few weeks back. And for the side of Don Bosco Garelli, as you've mentioned, a completely revamped first 11 for today. Only Yamaguchi and Mahinay remain on the starting 11 from their last matchup, which was November 30. So it's been a while since Don Bosco Garelli United have been put to the test, and for today's match, it's going to be the highest in that regard, going up against the defending champions. The first time that these two teams went against each other, it was Kaya FC who took the victory 7-1. But a good note, or a good way to start from, is that they know that they're capable of scoring goals even against the big team, getting that 1 goal against Kaya. And with their new signings today, as their coach mentioned, let's see how they can shake things up and be the underdog of this second round.
Don Bosco Garelli United currently sitting 9th out of all the 11 teams in the PFL. But a good performance today, not necessarily a win, but a good performance nonetheless, could help them get out of that rut that they were in the first round. Again, their last fixture in the PFL was a really long time ago. Might there be a little bit of a fitness concern? Well, as you did say, it is a refreshed squad, new signings. Their last match was in November and they played against One Taguig and they lost 7-0. So they'll be hoping that against another big team in the PFL that it becomes a different outcome and that they give a better account of themselves because they have the chance to do just that against the defending champions as we approach kickoff any moment now. It's going to be Kaya FC Iloilo kicking from left to right in their yellow jerseys, while Don Bosco in their black jerseys will be going the other way. Early chance for Ott. Quite messy in the penalty box. Don Bosco are going to work it clear just about. Already see Mirbach getting involved. Definitely wants to give a good start and account to himself here in the PFL.
For the opposite side, Don Bosco Garelli, they're currently on a 4-game losing streak. They want to shake off that dust, leave it in 2025, and start 2026 really just refreshed alongside all their new signings, especially in that spine, a new goalkeeper, a new center back, midfielders, and as well as an attacking player in Samuel Crawford from Australia.
The defending there from Audi Menzi, the team's captain for today. Center back. Having to deal with the loss also of Simon Nerota. I'll get back to that in a moment. Here's Paulo Bugas starting as Kaya's right winger. Keeps it in play just about and finds Mardiano. Goes to ground, but there's no foul and the referee is gonna, I think, penalize a handball. Is that from Diano?
And another player, not necessarily a new signing, but more of back from injury, Shuto Komaki on the start again for the side of Kaya. He was fantastic in his first game back against Maharlika. So Kaya FC, bit revamped as well, having their players now back from injury alongside with Menzi as well.
Foul from Zambrano. Pretty obvious shove on Stoko. New signing also for Don Bosco. As we were talking about Shuto Komaki, you could see how much they missed him when they beat Maharlika 2-0. They didn't get an assist or goal, but you could see the effect that he has on their opponents. He brings that fear factor to Kaya FC Iloilo. This is Jahine on the ball. Goes long. Don Bosco win the first ball, but the second one is nodded straight back to Alfredo Cortez. Player down actually for Kaya. That's Toyoda, the new signing. Very warm welcome to the PFL right away. But as we talk about Toyoda, for those not familiar, he has already played against Filipino opposition this season. He did it in Mongolia, or for a Mongolian team rather, for SP Falcons, and he did it in the AFC Challenge League. So he played against Manila Digger, lost 2-0, but already has an idea of what it's like to play against top Philippine teams.
It's also a chance for Yamazaki to play into that attacking midfielder role, testing out Toyoda as the center back. Yamazaki taking on familiar territory back in that midfield role.
Yamazaki, of course, naturally a midfielder, but for the first round of the PFL was deployed as a center back. You do wonder that if the signing of Toyoda puts him back as a midfielder more permanently. Here's a chance for Don Bosco to get forward though. Good intervention from Menzi. But Don Bosco, I think they'll be happy with the way that they started these opening 4 minutes. They've not succumbed to the pressure. They've actually tried to go forward.
No team with really full control of this game so far. It's been back and forth. An exciting first 4 minutes and welcome back.
Good play from Don Bosco, and they're gonna keep this in play. Chance for a cross. Menzi having to defend. He does well in delaying the cross, but Don Bosco are still in a good position. Here's Sims. He's gonna go for the cross. Toyoda with the header. But again, Don Bosco getting some good territory in these opening minutes. It's a heavy shove on Yamazaki though, but nonetheless, I think Don Bosco will be happy with the fact that they've just asked one or two questions now down the flanks of Kaya.
Really not allowing Kaya to really relax at any moment now. As you've mentioned, the first round it was 7-1 in favor of Kaya FC. But this Don Bosco Garelli looks a bit more refreshed, showing to be more physical. Winning back possession.
Free kick taken quickly. Here's Yamazaki back in his midfield role. But Don Bosco Garelli back in numbers. They look pretty compact. Just want to highlight number 34 down there on the left wing. A lot of positive moments in these opening 6 minutes. That's Jerome Abarca from UE. Chance maybe for Merbach. He is offside, according to the linesman. Good hide line held from Don Bosco. Goalkeeper you currently see also, Wat Shamrad. Not new to the PFL. We did mention earlier he already played a few PFL games this season. Not a lot, but he played for Stallion as the number 2 goalkeeper, and he's been given the trust this afternoon for Don Bosco. As we see a little wind start to pick up. Cortez having to do some sweeper-keeper action. And Don Bosco once again are not making it a comfortable afternoon so far for Kaya. That was Paulo Bugas being wrestled by Jerome Abarca. So he's not taking the jump to the pro level lightly. It's good to see actually that another UAAP star has made his way to the pro footballing scene in the country. Natasha, I believe you also covered him once or twice for UE. What do you think about him as a player?
I feel that he is such a good young player. It's great to see him continue on the path here at the pro level. Didn't have that much success with UE, most especially in the last season, which is technically still ongoing at the moment. It's almost the semi-finals for the UAP, but since UE did not make it, they have no more games. And that, I think, gave Jerome Abarca the time to decide if he wanted to jump ship and to play pro, to test his mettle at a different level.
Of course, the UAP men's football tournament, which is still ongoing, it's actually going to take place here in the Rizal Memorial Stadium tomorrow. That's the semi-finals. And I believe that is an exciting round of football matches to watch. There will be no PFL, but footballing action will not stop. Here's Paulo Bugas, another one who made that jump from UAP to the pro footballing scene up quite some time ago, but he's made it successfully, I must say. Here's Ott.
Paulo Bugas, also an assistant coach for the FEU Tamarals as well, for the collegiate team. So a bit of history as well. Paulo Bugas and Jerome Abarca, both coming from the UAP.
A lot of play from Don Bosco is coming down this left-hand side. No foul given by the referee. Here's Merbach accelerating. Bugas, the cross is mishit, and that's straight to the goalkeeper. Of course, no goals yet, but I think if you're going to ask the two coaches who's the more happier of the two, I think that might be the coaching staff of Don Bosco Garelli United. They've been compact and they've asked questions of their opponent's backline already.
Mirbach also looking good, fitting in with the system of Kaya FC. Was caught offside earlier, which could have been the opening goal. You could see the understanding and the movement. Able to find those gaps, just needs a little bit of fine-tuning.
Yamazaki is going to take control. Ugas in the pocket, looking for Diano, a bit behind him, but it's going to stay in play. Yamazaki, again, good defensive tenacity from Don Bosco, and they're going to try to go forward. Toyoda with the clearance. Here's Abarca. Again, Don Bosco, not afraid to play. Kaya are going to allow them to build up. Down the right this time. Ball in behind was on but not played. Still with Don Bosco. They have a man over in the far side. He's not found. Here's Bugas now. Can Kaya transition? Good starting position from the goalkeeper. Abarca, oh, good turn. And Diano, might he be in a little bit of trouble here? The referee is marching onto him. I think it's just going to be a warning, but Abarca and Diano, it's a battle that's going to happen a lot this afternoon. And at the moment, Abarca giving a good display of himself.
Barca able to hold the ball. Not the tallest of players, but taking advantage of his physique.
Chahine goes long, a bit too close to the goalkeeper. So Kaya are going to be able to reset with Alfredo Cortez. Don Bosco not afraid to actually press a bit higher. Usually see them in a bit of a low block against Montague. They opted for that low block but were eventually punished. Perhaps a change in approach might be a good way to go about themselves in the second round. Bugas tracked closely by Sims. Here's Zambrano. Diano in an advanced position. And again, Abarca going forward. He's looked dangerous, but there you could see him doing his defensive duties as well. That's a good sign of a player that wants to help out both offensively and defensively. And there he is again.
And with Jerome Abarca, of course, coming from the UAP, you know that he's fit already coming into this season during this window.
Speaking about fitness, actually, a lot of PFL teams might question their fitness status at the moment because it's been a while since the last match day. And in that last match day, not all the teams even played. So for a lot of PFL teams, their last game was in November. So you do wonder if sharpness has been lost. Here's Diano. Goes for the cross. It's blocked. Mirbach was waiting, but the cross couldn't find him. Shuto Komaki. Komaki's going to go for the cross. Headed out by Sims. Not cleared convincingly though. Bugas. Cross. Not for the first time. Is too close to the goalkeeper. So Don Bosco are going to escape that moment of pressure. Diano found himself in a really good position there, Natasha.
Diana showing us what he's capable of, not only when it comes to defensive duties, but on the attacking end as well. Did have a small angle to take a shot, opted for the pass.
Mardiano, definitely a modern fullback. Up and down the flank. It's going to be a good test for the left-hand side of Don Bosco to try and track his runs, his late runs into the box. Here is Ott combining with Mirbach. They're a bit outnumbered, but Mirbach is going to wriggle away. Mirbach, good save from Mochamrad. His first save in Don Bosco colors, but there was a glimpse of Julius Mirbach, the danger he brings to this Kaya team.
Despite that compact defense of Don Bosco Garelli, able to find the gaps, find the pass to Mirbach. Accelerated away from the defender. Went for the 1v1, but Matim had him covered.
Ott with the corner towards Menzi, a bit too deep. Ball will stay with Kaya, albeit for a throw-in. Bit of a deep corner, overhit slightly by Mike Ott. Of course, Mike Ott, such a crucial piece to this Kaya team. He's their top scorer and assister. 8 goals, 6 assists, and he got man of the match against Maharlika. So he's in some really good form, and there's a nutmeg from him. Don Bosco are going to be able to clear it. Just about. Casambre is going to be tested, going the other way. So ball over the top, that is on. Menzi headed back, just about to Cortez. This is dangerous. Cortez gets there just about. Good turn of pace there from Crawford, the Australian striker.
Garelli also showing that how quick they can be on transition, causing all problems in the back there for Kaya. Try to head it back to Cortez. Attacking players just breathing down their neck.
I think Don Bosco will be happy because it's not like they just sat in their low block for the whole of the 16 minutes. They've actually asked and threatened a couple times at this point in their previous matches against big teams. They had already conceded. So you have to take this as a silver lining almost if you're Don Bosco, because it hasn't been that often that they found themselves in this state. Here's a chance maybe for Mirbach. Missed clearance by the goalkeeper. Off the line by Mahinay. Bailing out his goalkeeper after a poor clearance, it must be said.
Matim coming off his line, completely misses the ball. Still a lot to do for Mirbach, but the track back run from Banjo Mahinay. Goal line clearance. And making sure that Garelli are very much equal terms with Kaya in the game.
That was a reminder also of the quality of Kaya, because they can go from back to front within a few seconds. Mirbach opting for placement rather than power might have cost him a goal. But good defending nonetheless from Mahinay, the captain. And yeah, one of the only 2 players that are still starting from their previous matches, the other being Yamaguchi. Yamaguchi actually has the most minutes among everyone in the whole Don Bosco team at 630. So no wonder he is still starting. He's being trusted by the coaching staff.
And on the attack as well, you saw that pass from Yamazaki on to Mirbach. Yamazaki's definitely been missed as well in that midfield role to really start out the attacks.
Yamazaki playing as a number 8 rather than a number 6. So you have a midfield 3, Zambrano being the deepest, and then you have Ott and Yamazaki combining and starting attacks. Very technically gifted midfield trio. They have to deal with the loss of Gavin Wentz, but they still have the quality there. Here's Shuto Komaki down the left, goes for the cross straight at the goalkeeper. Shuto Komaki is showing what he can do with his acceleration there.
To say that Komaki, Mirbach, and Ott, they've been connecting really well up on top in the attacking third.
And that's why if you're Don Bosco, even if you do play well, you have to be so careful, because they can just switch it on in an instant. Ott to Bugas. Again, good foot in by Sims. Abarca, yet again, another good turn of pace. Pass through the lines, chance maybe. But the touch from Yamaguchi was slightly loose. What about the pass from Abarca, the Trivela pass, to find Yamaguchi in the first place?
That's exactly what you want from your new signings as well. To instantly create an impact for your team. a positive impact for your team.
Diano has some space. Cuts inside. Tries to find Mirbach. Does just about. Here's Komaki. First time shot. And Shuto Komaki reminds everyone why he is one of the most electrifying players in the PFL. First time finish. And after 19 minutes of tenacity from Don Bosco, it's finally broken. 1-0 to Kaya FC Iloilo.
And that was a brilliant team effort up on top for Kaya FC to really get that goal, the opening goal against Garelli. It also started with that pass to Mirbach up on top, but because of his physicality, able to hold the player off, pass it back to Zambrano. And Zambrano to Komaki. Komaki, first time, takes it with it, right? Low and hard, bottom right. And Kaya FC opening the bank account in this matchup.
Goal for Kaya FC
Bosco are going to be completely frustrated by that because they played well in these opening 20 minutes. But a moment of quality from Komaki spells the difference at the moment. Don Bosco trying to go forward themselves, but it's cut out. But again, you saw the value that Julius Mirbach brings. Using his strength and finding Zambrano in 2 touches, that gives me the impression of something rehearsed in training, because Zambrano also played the pass first time to Komaki. It was an expert finish, just opening up his hips, slotting it into the bottom corner. Goalkeeper of Don Bosco at full stretch, unable to stop it.
And when you have a striker as well, top striker, able to hold the ball, and you have 2 defenders on that striker, able to still give that pass back, you're opening up space. You're keeping possession, opening up space, and eventually, as you mentioned, Komaki, not a new signing, a welcome back party.
Here's Abarca cutting inside. Goes out wide, crossing opportunity for Don Bosco. Clearance by Toyoda. Possible counter-attacking opportunity. Mirbach through on goal. 1-on-1 against the goalkeeper, and it's a fantastic strike from Mirbach. Debut goal from the Filipino-Norwegian. And in the space of 4 minutes, Kaya doubled their lead.
And the higher the level, the margin for error gets smaller and smaller. How quickly and deadly Kaya were able to transition from defense onto attack. The pass from Ott to the path of Mirbach. Keeping the ball in stride. As he went closer inside the box, attacking Matim to come out, tried to make himself as big as possible, but slotting it so perfectly in that bottom left corner.
Goal for Kaya FC
Finish
Iloilo.
full of composure.
And number 17,
There was never a moment where
Mirbach.
he looked like he was questioning whether or not he would score. It was a finish full of confidence. He knew he didn't need the power, just the placement. Kaya could add more. Yamazaki nearly finding Mirbach. Mirbach showing a lot of quality. First goal, hold the play against the defender, and then the second goal, pure pace and acceleration. So he's a very, very exciting striker. Only 25 years old. And yeah, I did mention he is of Filipino descent. So anything is possible if you're Julius Mirbach. Bugas in the pocket. Mirbach making that movement once again, but Diano trying to be found out wide, couldn't reach that. Nevertheless, I think Don Bosco will be so disappointed because they gave a really good account of themselves earlier on. And in those last 5 minutes, they might actually be doing their performance in the opening exchanges of the service.
You feel that as you've mentioned, it was anyone's game. That first 15 minutes, it was back and forth action. They would find themselves on the attacking third as well. A couple of dangerous moments. A couple of touches too heavy up on top as well. That could convert that possession into chances. As you mentioned, it's also been a while since Don Bosco Garelli have had a competitive matchup. End of November was their last game played in the PFL. As you all know, we did take a break for the Southeast Asian Games. Well, for Kaya, especially towards the end of last year, they still kept busy with the AFC Champions League 2 matches. They've already have a game in the pocket as they went against Maharlika just last week.
Chance perhaps for Don Bosco. Crossing opportunity. Player hits the deck, but the referee not hearing those calls. Bugas colliding with Abarca. Here is Paulo Bugas. And Diano. A lot of forward running for the fullback. Of course, Don Bosco, people might forget actually that it's only their second PFL season. They made their debut in that 2024 season. Shot from the halfway line is gonna test Cortez. In the end, he catches it, but for a moment there, he was just backtracking. Nearly something out of nothing.
And you could tell that Garelli, midfielders, hungry for goal.
Yamazaki combining with Ott. Here's Ott. Tried to find Bugas. Sims with the block. Eventually does go out to Bugas though. Has some space. Good cross towards, nearly towards Mirbach. Overrun slightly, but here's Casambre. Don Bosco back in numbers now. Kaya are gonna reset.
You feel that 2 goals of Kaya felt a little bit like deja vu against when they went against Maharlika. It was just 2 moments. Maharlika switched off.
Here's Diano found by Mirbach. Komaki somehow doesn't convert. Diano really unselfish because he had an open goal as well. Again, an attack flowing through Mirbach, but Kaya will have their hands on their heads here. How did Komaki not convert that? Probably the last player you expect to not be clinical from that angle. But that must be a warning sign for Don Bosco not to allow more space to the likes of Mirbach and Komaki. They dodge a bullet there.
Kaya FC so quick with the passing. Able to connect up on top. One-touch passes, really just beating out the defenders. Taking advantage of the spaces in between. As he said, just hands in the air that Komaki couldn't keep that one on target.
Even when the game is at this area of the field, Mirbach is just causing so many problems for the center backs of Don Bosco. Quick change of direction as well in his arsenal. Menzies gonna go long towards Bugas. Touched by Sims, gonna concede the corner kick. Sims is gonna disagree with the linesman, but the referee is actually gonna agree with Sims and give the goal kick. Linesman with his flag in the air. I think a goal kick was taken with the Kaya player in the box. But as I was saying earlier, Don Bosco still in their second season in the PFL, so technically they're still a club in their infancy in terms of playing at the pro stage. Nevertheless, as a club in that stage, you're going to expect some growing pains. But you do hope from their sake that they have a good round 2 in the PFL. Abarca. Pass in behind, slightly overhit. And it's out for a goal kick.
As you mentioned, Garelli, only in their second season in the PFL. And from their conception, if I'm not mistaken, and up against Kaya FC Iloilo, and if their Wikipedia page is correct, founded in 1996. So 30 years already. One of the oldest clubs in Philippine football that are still active.
Komaki taking that out of the air. Linesman has his flag up though. He was offside. Sayang. Because the touch is excellent.
That's one thing you can expect as well from Shuto Komaki. His technical ability. And it's just capability to beat players 1v1. Such an exciting player to watch.
Komaki, of course, before playing in the Philippines, had experience in Singapore. Very high level of football. Eventually made his way to the Philippines, and ever since coming over, hasn't stopped showing his quality. And even after an injury, people may have wondered, will he still have the same level of sharpness, the same level of acceleration? And the answer is clearly yes. Here he is again on the ball. Komaki so excellent at just keeping possession of the ball. And you do have to say, Natasha, if Kaya are going to retain their title, you'd imagine Komaki would be a huge part of that.
Definitely so. The likes of Komaki as well as Yamazaki. A lot of Japanese influence, of course, to this Kaya side, especially with their head coach, Coach Yu Hoshide. You think of a team like Kaya as well. Konti lang sila when it comes to signings. They take their time and they choose very few. And you'd say that a couple of their signings, even from the start of this season, have been taken in full fruit. Was Mike Ott, he's only been with the team since the start of the season in September. And already, as you've mentioned, 8 goals, 6 assists to his name.
Meanwhile, for the new signings of Don Bosco, it's been a bit of a baptism of fire, especially for those new signings in the back line. What Shamrad already having to pick out the ball from his net twice. But he is also a pretty good goalkeeper. Played a couple times for Stallion and kept a clean sheet, if I'm not mistaken. Here's another one of those new signings. Abarca cuts inside. Pass towards Sims, overhead. Don Bosco wasting a chance to gain territory.
Kim Min Kap just having a word with Michael Sims. So Abarca free up that space on that left side, cut the ball inside, thinking Sims was going to make that run on that left-hand side. And that's also something that happens when you revamp the squad. It takes a while to understand the movement of your teammates, where they want each other to go.
Here's Ott with the cross. Mirbach nearly getting on the end of it. Good intervention from, I believe that's Mahinay, who, if it weren't for him, actually scoreline could have been even steeper in favor of Kaya. He had that goal line clearance earlier on when it was still scoreless. And he's been given the captain's armband. So a lot of trust in him from the coaching staff.
For the side of DB Garelli United. In this first 11, so many new signings. Samuel Crawford, the Australian up on top. Jerome Abarca on the left-hand side. Kai Kimura, Japanese winger. The midfielders of Daniel Stoko and the Kim Min Kap. A center back in Karim Chahin. The right back in Ian Edie from Maharlika. And the goalkeeper, as we said, Matim Mothashamrad.
Abarca doing well there to win a free kick in a decent spot. Again, a lot of Don Bosco's forward play is going down this left-hand side through Jerome Abarca. Again, as a new signing from a college team, to be given the start right away, I think is a good sign of trust. And it means for sure that he has a lot of quality to bring to this Don Bosco team, so they could reinvigorate their season. Only with 3 points that came against Mendiola. They'll definitely want to get more than that in the second round.
Not just that, you want to be able to uplift as well the local signings, not just the foreign signings, and it's good to see such a positive effect from one of the local signings in Jerome Abarca.
Cross is slightly too close to the goalkeeper. Good claim there from Cortez. Zambrano. Ott trying to combine with Komaki. Doesn't pay off, but Kaya still with possession. Kaya just opting to slow down the game a little bit. They have the luxury to do so because they are 2-0 up. Here's Ott, no one tracking him. And he loses out possession. Here's Abarca. Combining with Yamaguchi. Chance maybe for Don Bosco. Passes slightly overhit. Don Bosco are forced out wide. Offside flag against Don Bosco. Bit of a waste because they had a chance maybe to play their cards right, create a goal-scoring opportunity. Let's see if this was actually offside. Can't really tell from that angle, but linesman was very quick to raise his flag.
I feel that Daniel Stoko was coming from an offside position when he received that pass. Maybe something to build on for the side of Garelli. Able to keep the ball in the attacking third, string together more passes.
Not too long now until halftime. I actually think if you're the coaching staff of Don Bosco, in terms of performance, they won't be too displeased. It's the scoreline that doesn't really reflect how the game went earlier on. But of course, the thing that matters most in football is the numbers you see in the top left, which could increase. Here's Komaki, no offside called. Keeps it in play just about. Crossing opportunity from Komaki, too close to the goalkeeper, but it's spilled. And Motshamrad is really lucky that there was no yellow shirt to clean up that mess.
More than a spill, that was just a miscommunication with one of the center backs and the goalkeeper. Of course, the team of Garelli still trying to build up their chemistry. Would like to do so as quickly as possible.
Kept in play just about by Yamaguchi. Cortez is first to that pass. Kaya need to get up and running again in 2026. They already did that against Maharlika with a good 2-0 victory against a tough team to play against. They're on their way to doing that yet again against Don Bosco, and they need momentum sooner rather than later, not just to defend their title, but also because their next game is actually against Maharlika once again, so that's a very, very tough game. And yeah, we saw in the pre-match content that the table is so tight at the top, so you need every point. Here's Mirbach, Castellano, couldn't find him. Still with Mirbach, goes for the shot, what a goal! Weak foot, it doesn't matter for Julius Mirbach. First half brace for the Filipino-Norwegian. And Natasha, we were sitting right behind that. It curled from out to in. What a strike from the debutant.
And what a way to start your account with the Kaya FC jersey. Fantastic strike from a distance. Tried to pass that on to Diano. Eventually, ball fell back to Mirbach's way. Put himself in some space. Shot right outside the box. And a back of the net brace for Julius Mirbach. And that's exactly how you want to start for your new team.
Another thing as well with that strike, Mot Shamrad is a really, really tall goalkeeper with a really long wingspan. He was at full stretch towards that and got nowhere near it. That's how good the strike was.
It says as well as the technical ability and the quality that Julius Mirbach brings. You have to hit that just right and put on a fantastic show for everyone.
Very good sign of a striker. Given the fact that, you know, he hasn't been 100% involved in the phase of play, unlike Ott or Yamazaki. But in the few touches that he's had, he's been quite destructive. This is dangerous from Kaya. Cruyff turn from Cortez just about keeps the ball. Playing with fire a little bit, but they don't get burned. Here's Sims. Pass is slightly weak. That's a handball from Don Bosco. They say new modern goalkeepers need to be good with their feet. Cortez definitely showing that side to his game.
Kaya FC able to get out of the high press Garelli have instigated.
Bugas goes to Komaki. Excellent first touch from Komaki, but just slightly too heavy. The goalkeeper was quick to claim that.
Bugas has been hot and cold with those passes, but when he gets it right, it's been fantastic.
Mirbach once again on a hat-trick. Nearly getting his first half hat-trick. Komaki, touch out wide to Casambre. He's gonna win a corner. Julius Mirbach once again, really, really threatening.
You gotta love how this game has opened up as well in the last few minutes, closing on to the half. Fantastic passes up on top. This time around, tighter defending from Don Bosco Garelli.
It's gonna be a corner from Ott. Don Bosco, the last thing they want to go, the last thing they want is to go behind 4-0 right before halftime. Zambrano cuts inside, goes for the shot, tried to curl it into the far corner, and it goes just wide, but goalkeeper absolutely helpless. Should that have been on target?
Now the Kaya players, everybody wants a piece as well. able to keep the ball from corner opportunities and turn them into chances. The Devon organized defending from Garelli when it comes to those set pieces.
Chance maybe for Don Bosco. They go out wide. On the right, Yamaguchi in a pocket of space. Goes for the shot. Sliced through it. And he couldn't catch it cleanly. Cortez in the end was actually quite unbothered. It's actually a really good chance for Don Bosco, albeit from a distance. Any shot on target would have helped.
But in terms of the strides of where Garelli want to improve, they want to show that they're more attacking as well. I feel that they have been putting that on display. It's not as clinical. They've been causing troubles.
Here's Ott, unable to control that ball. You can just see when Kaya get the ball, front three are on their bikes and they are rapid, especially the likes of Mirbach, Komaki, Bugas. Again, this half completely changed on its head because of the involvement of Mirbach and Komaki. Again, Julius Mirbach, not the only Filipino-Norwegian striker currently in the minds of Philippine football fans. Of course, we have Bjorn Christensen in the team currently. But Mirbach is making a name for himself already. Komaki goes for the long shot, quite some way away. No problem for the goalkeeper. But I think you can just see they're dripping with confidence at the moment, the yellow shirts.
When you get 3 goals right before halftime, definitely builds up the confidence of the players to shoot your shot. The pressure is much less to make those mistakes.
Of course, goals in football, a little bit like magic. They just lift you up from out of nowhere.
You feel, despite the scoreline, that Garelli are still very much in this matchup. Choosing pockets of moments, went to high press the first 15 minutes. Now towards the last 10 minutes of the game. In those moments that they did have those high press situations, they would catch Kaya off position and they were able to translate those into chances in the attacking third.
There is definitely a goal in this for them in the second half. But there you have it. That was the conclusion of the first half. Halftime whistle was blown by referee Samuel Mendoza. The scoreline currently reads Kaya FC Iloilo 3 to Don Bosco Garelli's 0. 2 goals from Julius Mirbach and 1 to start
Ladies
things off
and
from Shuto
gentlemen,
Komaki.
halftime
A
score
really good
is
half
Kaya
after a bit of a dodgy 20 minutes, opening 20 minute spell or so. But the defending champions showing just why they are defending champions. Again, this is your PFL match number 66 between Kaya FC Iloilo and Don Bosco Garelli. Stay tuned for the second half. Currently halftime between Kaya FC Iloilo and Don Bosco Garelli United. A first half which was closely contested for a good spell, but Kaya FC Iloilo showing their quality, and particularly quality from their front line. 2 goals from Mirbach and 1 from Shuto Komaki. Tasha, what did you think of that first half?
It was a joy to watch Kaya FC versus a much better DB Garelli United. You feel that on paper and on the scoreline, it doesn't really reflect that the growth, leaps and bounds of growth as well from Garelli, especially way back when they went against each other in that first round. But business as usual for Kaya FC. 56% possession as to Garelli's 44%. They had 12 shots, 9 on a target, and able to convert 3. They also had 2 corners, 1 offside, and 6 fouls. And for the side of Garelli, though they were in moments, in breakaway moments in the attacking third, that was only able to translate into 3 shots, 1 on a target, no corners for their side, and fouls were plenty for both sides. And you feel that the signings of Kaya FC Iloilo, most especially Julius Mirbach, it's so nice to have an exciting new attacking player signing, especially with Filipino descent.
That's right. Julius Mirbach has been a handful for the center-back duo of Don Bosco Garelli. You can see he has multiple dimensions to his game. He's not one-sided. He doesn't have only one particular skill set. He has a lot of them. Very good weak foot as well. As you saw from his second goal. Very good hold the play. He can back into defenders, but he can also run in behind, as you saw for his first goal. Definitely a problem for all the defenders in the PFL for the future matches, because he is quite some player.
So the Norwegian striker with a lovely debut in the first 45 in his first opening minutes with Kaya FC. And who knows, with the performance down the line, national team could be calling just around the corner. And of course, to have Shuto Komaki back in action for Kaya FC to really be that threat on that left-hand side. On the right was Bugas Yamazaki, of course, as well, playing his usual midfield role. Since the start of the season, he has been deployed at center back. But with the signing of Toyoda, who has not really been tested so far in this matchup, but being able to slot him in that center back position alongside Menzi for this matchup, Yamazaki was able to play a higher role. And the attacking flair of Kaya FC, who at moments in time, most especially when they play in their Champions League or in their AFC Cups rather as well, they'd be hot and cold, and you'd always feel that a striker, a deadly or a lethal striker, has been one of the missing puzzles for them. And Julius Mirbach fitting in that slot and making the attack of Kaya just a tad bit more exciting.
Speaking of attack and exciting, Lucas Del Rosario is going to check in for the second half for Paulo Bugas. Again, another player with a lot of quality, and he'll be looking to get the score sheet as well. Definitely a dangerous player to watch out for. Here's Yamazaki starting things off the way they ended the first half. Again, Kaya were kept scoreless for the first 20 minutes. They shifted up a gear, completely took control of this match. Again, for Don Bosco, it's a team that might not have full chemistry at the moment because a lot of these players are new signings from the transfer window. So it's going to take some time for them to get fully gelled. I think you could see some hope in the first 20 minutes that they could cause a problem for Kaya. However, the quality of their opponents completely overplayed. Chance maybe here though for Don Bosco to do something. Crossing opportunity. Eventually sent in. Menji, the high clearance, Casambre clears it eventually. I think if you're the back line of Kaya, what you want from this game for sure is a clean sheet to reward that defensive work.
You see now Ian Edie playing a higher role, a higher attacking role. He was deployed at that right back. Garelli opting to send more players up on top as well to just strengthen their chances of finding the back of the net.
In Don Bosco, only one win this season against Mendiola. That was 5 match days ago. Because since then, it's been loss after loss. Casambre currently on the ground. following a collision. I think that collision was with Kimura. So the referee is just going to stop play for a bit. Casambre, the likes of Casambre, Toyoda, Menzi, their clean sheet is still intact. Cortez as well hasn't been truly tested with shots on target. If you're Don Bosco, you want to change that in the second half.
For Cortez, he's been tested mostly with his ball handling skills on his feet. And it's been superb so far. Able to get out the high press. Key possession for Kaya FC at the back.
Foul from Kaya. So it's going to be a free kick to Don Bosco. They played short this time. They're going to try to keep more sustained possession. Maybe a chance here for Don Bosco. Can they score? Chance off the line. Audi Menzi bailing out his team's back line there. Clean sheet is still intact.
Cortez comes up big to make that first save. The ball fell eventually to another Don Bosco Garelli player. And back line in check. Menzi with that goal line save. Good to see Garelli as well, putting up the fight against Kaya FC. Starting out the second half on a positive note.
Maybe another chance here for Don Bosco. Cross field. Will this be kept in? It is just about. But Zambrano dropping back from midfield. Good defensive duty and an extra bit of good footwork there. Good involvement there from the midfielder.
Zambrano has been tidy. He's been able to cover the spaces in between of the center backs and that back line. His distribution has been on point as well.
Zambrano there combining with Ott and Yamazaki. Very tidy from the midfielders of Kaya. Here's Komaki. Quick change of direction. Casambre hits the ground. But according to the referee, ED with a clean challenge. Casambre, in fairness, gets up right away. No protest. And Kaya are going to win a corner.
It's been a struggle for Garelli to deal with the set-piece opportunities, the corners of Kaya FC in that first half. Let's see if the adjustments have been made.
Sent in, good claim from the goalkeeper. He's going to try to launch a counterattack. High throw towards Yamaguchi. Zambrano holding him up. Attack is still on though for Don Bosco. Abarca, quite isolated, but he gets past Ott. Abarca goes for the shot. Tight angle. Nothing else was on. So you do commend him for taking the shot again. A lot of the forward play of Don Bosco is going through Jerome Abarca. Might not even realize that it's his first game in the pro scene. And despite of the scoreline, I think Abarca in these 52 minutes has given a good account of himself.
And he is such a speedy player. Coming from UE onto Garelli, tactics-wise, especially, you have to be a team that's good in transition. So it seems a bit easier for him to get into the style of play that Garelli is demanding from him.
Jerome Abarca going up against Mardiano. And also in the same side of Audi Menzi for his first game. Trial by fire for the winger. If Don Bosco Garelli are to increase their points tally, I'm certain that Abarca is going to play a big part in that. Here's Lucas Del Rosario though, going the other way. Touch from Chahine. Just about gets it out for a throw-in. Again, Lucas Del Rosario from the bench. And what a luxury it is to have a player like him come off the bench for the second half. Crossed in, Mirbach on a hat-trick! And he gets the hat-trick for his debut. Perfect performance so far from the striker. And it looks like the PFL has a new marksman to watch out for. Great touch to control the cross and an even better touch to find the corner. No chance for the goalkeeper.
The awareness of Julius Mirbach, especially in the attacking third inside the box. Quickly able to shift his body around to take that shot. Slotted in the back of the net. Positional awareness as well from the player, Mirbach. Small movements to increase that space.
Here's Ott, and 2 goals in 2 minutes. Fantastic finish from Ott. He made it look really easy. At the moment, Don Bosco are getting ripped apart in the second half. Just like that, it's 5-0 to Kaya FC Iloilo. And a player like Ott, he's probably the last player you want to give that much space to if you're Don Bosco. But with that space, there's only one outcome for a player like Ott.
My God, adding up to his tally. Now 9 goals to his name. Just at the edge of the box, keeper comes out. But my God, Ricardas finds the back of the net. Fantastic work from Kaya FC up on top. Not a good sign. Seeing one of the players down for Kaya FC. It's Mardiano.
Mardiano does look okay. It was a heavy challenge actually that came on him. But I think the referee is going to allow play to go on. Just speaking about Mike Ott, already 9 goals this season from a midfield player. Very impressive signing from earlier on in the season.
You have to worry for Garelli. The mistakes keep coming in twos. They compound the mistakes by not switching on fast enough. And punished back-to-back in the first half and as well as in the second half.
Again, if you're Don Bosco Garelli United for the rest of the PFL season, while some of these mistakes might not be inevitable, you have to limit them, especially against teams like Kaya. Because teams like Kaya and the other teams top of the PFL table, all it takes is one small error and they're going to punish you. And just like that, it's 5-0 in favor of Kaya. And if you're Don Bosco, it's a bit of a shame because they had a really good opening start to this game. All of a sudden, they'll be completely forgetting that because of the scoreline.
It's 2 substitutions for the side of Don Bosco Garelli. You have to say that you saw that the substitutions were coming for their side. Hayato Kame comes in as well as Felipe Martins Melgaco.
Goal for Kaya FC Iloilo by player number 5, Mike Ott.
And Hayato Kame, another Japanese influence for the side of Garelli. He has had a stint with Manila Digger and with Stallion, so is familiar with the PFL. But this time, suiting up for Garelli. He's usually stationed as a center back, now as well as a midfield role.
There's Lucas Del Rosario down the right. He's going to win a throw-in. Again, this match has been completely marked by the quality of Kaya's forward players. The likes of Shuto, Komaki, Ott, Mirbach. Very good start to 2026 if you're Kaya. Here's Zambrano, forward from midfield, looking for Mirbach. Cross slightly short. Clearance straight up into the air. And finally cleared by Don Bosco, but he's going to come right back. Shots taken from distance. But a foul was called even before the shot was taken.
You have to feel as well, Kaya FC, they want to not just start the new year strong, but they're trying to gain momentum and get themselves on a 3-game winning streak. They're coming from loss, win, loss, 2 wins in a row, and they want to make that 3.
Replaced by player number 44, Hayato Kami.
It's going to be a flurry of substitutions now from Don Bosco.
Player number 81,
Coaching staff just perhaps acknowledging that maybe in terms of fitness, the team that was out currently lacking a little bit. Again, it's been a really long time since Don Bosco last played. Before today, the last game was actually in November against Wantagig. So a lot of that sharpness and fitness would have disappeared over the break. They have a chance here though to test the backline of Kaya. Chance eventually leads to a corner kick. Good defending from Toyoda, who's not been involved too much in this match. A good tackle there from the new Japanese signing.
But you have to think about the span in which Garelli made substitutions, because it was just 5 minutes ago, if I'm not mistaken, that they made 2 substitutions, and now using another slot again to make another pair of substitutions, adding again 2 defensive players to their side, Eugene Ariola as well as Traore.
Counter-attacking possibilities here, but the ball rolls out for Komaki. Last touch was actually from a Don Bosco player, so the attack stays on. Here's Ott. Combining with Komaki, 2 very dangerous players. Komaki. Cross in towards the danger area, but it's cleared. Again, with Kaya, you just feel that every time they raise the tempo and go forward, they can always invent a goal-scoring opportunity. Such is the quality of that team. There is a player down actually for Don Bosco. It's actually Abarca, which is a shame also. He has performed really well. They'll be hoping that he stays fit, because, I mean, judging from his performance earlier on, they're going to need him for the rest of the season.
And not just that, if you're Don Bosco Garelli, you just use 2 windows of substitution, one after the other, and not merely 5 minutes later a player goes down. You don't want to use your 3rd window for a substitution all within the span of 10 minutes.
Flurry of substitutions now for Kaya FC Iloilo. It's going to be Komaki, Ott, and Yamazaki coming off. So that's 3 of your starters and main players for Kaya coming off. I think Coach Yoshide acknowledging perhaps that they have a very important game on Wednesday against Maharlika, and he's going to want the crucial players fully rested so they can go all guns blazing in that match. But a very good performance nonetheless from those players.
I'd have to say that this game is somewhat in the bag. 16 minutes in, 5 goals already for Kaya FC. and they do have a midweek game. So on Feb 11, which is just in another 3 days, they'll only have 3 days to recover for another hard match against Maharlika.
Again, a lot of games to be played before the conclusion of this season. It means that squad rotation is going to become a very important factor. There was a foul also in the middle of all that by Toyoda. Set piece, quite a far distance away, but chance for Don Bosco to flood the Kaya penalty box. Just want to take the time also to shout out the Kaya players, Shuto, Ott, and Cortez, as well as Coach Yoshide for getting into the PH Transfers and PFL Bible Team of the Year. Nice to see that there is a Team of the Year for the PFL made by our PH Transfers and PFL Bible pages.
Player number 77, Kiri Ray. Player number 5, Mike Ott. Replaced by
Player down
number
for
75,
Kaya, so the game is going to stop. Looks like a head injury actually.
Player number 14,
It's Casambre on the deck.
replaced by player number 8, Marvin Angeles.
I don't want to make any assumptions, but Casambre looks quite distressed actually. If you're Kaya, might be a bit concerning. He's been one of your crucial defenders in this match. As far as I remember, their other left back, Magnus Round, from the first round has departed. So they're gonna want to keep their left backs and left-footed defenders fit for the rest of the season.
Not just that, Cassandra as well. You're able to deploy him at that left back or also as that center back position. And you see the signs being given by the PT and their teammate Menzi looking for a substitution, most probably for the side of KFC for Casambre. And a bit worrying because you signed Toyoda knowing that as well you have Casambre there so that you can put Yamazaki in that midfield role. Casambre's usually featured in that first 11. Going to be most probably adjustments needed to be made coming forward after this matchup. Take a look at the bench. The possible defenders. And there really aren't any. Say Basindanan could come on. He's not usually a wing back, but he has been deployed in that position in a game or two. And also because you've already taken out Yamazaki, another player that you could have put in your back line. So let's see what adjustments Coach Yu Hoshida will make.
Fortunately, Casambre having to be stretchered off. We do wish him a speedy recovery. He is a very, very good player on his day. It's actually going to be a debut from a player on the bench of Kaya. New signing, Pathy Malumansoko. Perhaps not the circumstances that they wanted him to make a debut in, but from what we hear, actually, he is a very, very good defender. Two-footed from France. And he's going to be given a debut this early on.
That's right. So the announcement comes earlier than expected. Pathy Alondo, Malumansoko, the new signing for Kaya FC, makes an appearance now in place of Marco Casambre. See those adjustments in the back. He comes in as a center back alongside Toyoda. Menzi deployed on that left back.
Marcelo Mansoko, 25-year-old. From what we hear, is a two-footed player. Played across Europe, in Greece, in France. Actually also has an appearances in the Ukrainian Premier League. He also had a short stint in Legnago in Serie C. That's the third tier of Italian football. That's a very high level of football in Europe as well. So it looks to be quite a serious signing upon research. Again, not the circumstances that you want your signing to make a debut in, but nonetheless, there is quality there. Here's Lucas Del Rosario. Murbach is alone in the box, but cross is overhead. Murbach, you can see he's hungry for goals. Doesn't care that he has a hat-trick already to his name. Player on the ground once again. Actually, it's Abarca. Not for the first time on the ground. Might be a case of cramps. It's being stretched by Menzi. Again, you do wonder if fitness is going to come into play sooner or later in this match. Kaya, probably the fitter of the two because they played a few weeks ago, but Don Bosco haven't played quite some time. And that's going to be a problem for maybe some of the other teams also in the PFL. Again, in that match day we had in January, there were only 6 teams that actually played. So the rest of the team didn't actually get to keep their fitness up.
You also think about the ground covered by Abarca as well. He's been doing a lot of those forward passes, those forward runs to start on the quick transitions. But he never let up his defensive duties as well. He's been covering a lot of ground. That's why he's been also one of the more noticeable players from the side of Garelli.
He's going to go off because of cramp. Perhaps not the fashion in which he would have wanted to come off this game, but I think nonetheless, a lot of the fans who watched today's game will agree that he gave a good display, especially in those opening 20 minutes or so. In his place comes Romel Katarinin, but nevertheless, good debut by Abarca, who I believe also has a pretty good following on social media to keep out for his vlog. Chance maybe though for Don Bosco. Toyoda once again being tested. He's going to win the battle for now, but the corner is going to go in for Don Bosco.
And Melgaco bringing the ball all the way up to the attacking third, matching out Toyoda on that physicality, the shoulder-to-shoulder tackles, and eventually for the effort gets a corner. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first corner for Don Bosco Garelli.
Chance maybe to make the scoreline slightly more respectable. However, it is a very, very short one by Yamaguchi. Back with Yamaguchi. 1-2 is played. Toyoda once again. And once again, Toyoda matches his opposite attacker, his compatriot actually. So he passed the test yet again. Tayo Toyoda, one of the other new signings for Kaya. Top signing because he came from a high level of football. Played for SP Falcons in Cambodia. And he played against Manila Digger in the AFC campaign earlier on. He lost that match, but I think it's also a good thing that he already knows what it's like to play against one of the better teams in the PFL. So he has that familiarity. Excellent acceleration from Esso. Maybe just overran it at the end. And again, 2 players hit the deck for Don Bosco. One of them stretching, looks like cramps.
That looks like Michael Sims down on the pitch there. It was Traore who's able to get back up after that collision with Esso. Esso injecting more life for Kaya FC, coming on as a substitute. Fresh legs on full display. "72 minutes in And Garelli have already used 3 windows of substitution. Closer look at the captain, Audi Menzi. He's been with KFC for quite some time now.
You'd imagine as well, after the retirement of Simone Rota, there's probably a big leadership gap in the locker room of Kaya. Menzi for sure is going to be one of those who is going to be asked to step up as a leader. He already is a leader by himself, but again, the departure of a figure like Simone Rota means that some other players are going to have to step up and guide the team with their experience. It's actually going to be another forced change by Don Bosco, but actually, as I say that, I'm not sure if they have any subs in terms of windows left, because they've already made 3 different sub windows. I think they already made 5 as it is. Confirm that later. Yeah, they've already made 5 subs, so I'm not sure what the protocol is here.
Sims taking his time, able to get back on his feet. Will have to step off the pitch, of course. And take a look again at the KFC players that they lost. They lost Rota, Muens, Daniels, Magnus. They also lost the likes of their assistant coach,
That's right.
Coach Ben Colina, who is now with Aguilas UMAC FC. They did have fantastic replacements in Julius Mirba, Tayo Toyoda, and now a glimpse of Pati Malamansoko. Of course, the return of Shuto Komaki as well. Earlier, that was, of course, Coach Yu Hoshida, head coach of KFC, not only for their men's football program, but as well as for the women's. He's also coming as a former PFL player, was made that transition, and he signed as well 2 assistant coaches who have come from the PFL as well. Alfred Osei, once upon a time player for Kaya FC, and a goalkeeper coach in Baba Sampanya.
Crossed by Angeles straight to the goalkeeper. I think the protocol is that Don Bosco are going to have to play the rest of this match with 10 men. They have no more subs available. And it's quite unfortunate, actually. A bit unlucky in the manner that they've lost Michael Sims.
But you'd have to question as well the game management of the coach, because he made 2 separate substitutions just within 5 minutes of one another.
Again, the rule, for those of you who are not 100% sure, you can have a maximum of 5 subs, but you can only make them in 3 substitution windows. And if I'm correct, the halftime break doesn't count as a window. So if you choose to make subs there, you can actually, and it won't affect your sub windows. But because they made that double substitution twice within, I believe it was just within 5 minutes, and then an injury to Obarca means 5 was already used in 3 windows. That is why when Sims went off, there's no replacement. Kaya are going to be smelling blood because they're going to be man advantage. Header by Mirbach, but it goes wide. In Mirbach, I think he smells blood, and he will want to add to his tally. Very, very good striker because he has so many different parts to his game. 3 different types of goals. One where he's running in behind one-on-one against the goalkeeper, then one against a low block shot from distance, and then one from across, control and finish. So if you're a defender, you have to have the perfect game against him. I'm sure in your days as a defender, Natasha, you played against certain types of strikers as well. Definitely a problem for other defenders in the PFL.
That's right, and it's always hard to go against a striker in such good form. With some technical ability, alongside with his physicality. and the football IQ just all there. Of course, the test now. He's passed the first test. It's been a breath of fresh air for Kaya FC. The next question of him will be his consistency at that level, especially when the games get harder. Can he replicate the same performance?
It will be a very good test of him this coming Wednesday when Kaya play Maharlika. He'll be up against Mike Menzi, the brother of Audie Menzi. And yeah, that will be a really tough test for a striker. Let's see what he produces in that match. But nonetheless, he looks like an exciting prospect. And I say prospect because, as we keep mentioning, he is of Filipino descent. From what we know, he doesn't currently have a passport, but it is a possibility for him to get one. Chance maybe here for Kaya. Ray is gonna make a cameo goal. What a finish. First time into the far corner to make it 6-0. And Kaya completely dominant in this match.
And Martini Ray, back-to-back games, finds the back of the net. He came in as a substitute and so quickly able to find the back of the net. The pass was from Diano, takes it first time, ushers it down the left-hand bottom corner finish. And without even looking at the goal, the awareness of where the goal is, finding the back of the net, just adding the cushion for Kaya FC.
Iloilo, by player number 77, Gary Ray.
It is a bit of a sucker punch as well for Don Bosco. Actually, as I say that, it looks like Michael Sims is back on the pitch. So they're back up to 11 players, but they conceded that goal following a spell where they were down a lot. And Kaya just got that momentum back to force Don Bosco back. Here's Ray once again.
Diana, of course, just very much part of the attack. Getting the assist to Martini Ray.
I think the constant injuries as well probably just took the momentum out of the game. I think that actually suits Don Bosco. A heavy collision there as well on Toyota. And it looks like he's cramping up now. So as I was saying, game just slowed down a lot. Perhaps also a factor of fitness for Don Bosco. I think Kaya seemed the fitter of the two. Again, they played more recently. And Toyota getting stretched there by Zambrano. He looks fine. And never nice to see any unforced injuries, but Toyota will be able to continue. Passing between the lines. Here's Ray. Ray forced out wide. He's going to combine with Angeles. Forced backwards for now. Menzi's going to go for the switch towards Mirbach. Flagged up for offside. Mirbach looks like the type of player that doesn't want to give a defender an easy afternoon. Mirbach as well, I found out recently, former teammate of Scott Woods in Norway. Scott Woods, of course, now in Thailand, I believe, or Cambodia. Confirm that later, but now in Asia and in the national team pool. Let's see if Mirbach is able to do the same. Chance maybe for Don Bosco though. The cross is overhit.
It's a good touch from Angeles to keep that in favor of Kaya.
Eric Esso shot from distance. Tell you what, that would have been some banger from Eric Esso, goalkeeper. But Shamrad at full stretch.
Esso with the pace to get the ball. Rocket of a shot. wasn't far from on target at all.
And everyone from the Kaya team just wants to get in on the act at this point of the match. Can Don Bosco actually score a consolation goal, which they were able to do when they played Kaya the first time? They scored, I think at the point they scored, it was already 5-0. But it would just give a little lift, maybe a confidence to whoever scores. And if you're Don Bosco Garelli United, you will acknowledge that against most teams in the PFL, you will be the underdog. But I think there are 3 or 4 games where they'll encircle their calendar and say this is a winnable game. They want to increase their points tally kahit papano. Because again, they're only on 3 points. They want to make that at least tripled or quadrupled down the end of the road.
That's right. They're currently at 9th spot with 8 games played. Only 1 win so far and 7 losses. They're on a 4-game losing streak and about to become 5. Definitely want to be able to change their fate.
Chance maybe for Don Bosco. Yamaguchi for the consolation. What a save by Cortez. And he's not had much to do this afternoon, but he was called to action. Performed well. Eso now towards Mirabak. Mirabak's there first, but goalkeeper Chamrad able to claim that one.
Goalkeeper strength both shown on full display. As you've mentioned with Cortez, rarely has he had to make any saves, but the 2 times that he's had to do 1v1 saves, he comes out big, especially the second time around.
Don Bosco will feel that fine margins, and they would have had 2 goals. Again, Kaya have 6, but at least those 2 goals would have made the scoreline a little bit more respectable towards them.
Feel that game management as well as fitness is starting to play an issue, because they started out bright, most especially in the first 20 minutes of this matchup.
Floodlights just shutting off for a moment. It is still quite bright here at the Rizal Memorial Stadium, coming to you live. Again, I'm Diego Cordero alongside Natasha Alquiros Dato. Currently 6-0 in favor of Kaya and could get more. Eso trying his luck from distance, not for the first time.
You have to say, Eso off the bench is looking really good. The few moments that he has been involved, it's been all positive. And that's also what you get from well-seasoned players.
There's so much competition for places, especially in that midfield. But when you harness it correctly, it can bring out healthy competition. And that will definitely be the aim of Coach Yoshide. There's Menzi up from defense, cutting it past his defender. Maybe a counter-attacking chance for Don Bosco. Played in behind. Slightly overhit though.
Edie trying to find that sweet spot right behind the line. Just couldn't connect with their attacking player in Melgaco.
Will confirm who their next opponents are, but I think Don Bosco, the blueprint will definitely be the first 20 minutes of this match because they kept it close and scoreless. So that's a sign that at least in spells of matches, they can match up with the teams better than them. Again, I mentioned earlier, they have winnable quote-unquote games in the PFL. And that means that they can increase their points tally somewhere in this season Again, they did debut 2 seasons ago in the 2024 season, and they took a break last season, came back again this season. In that 2024 season, they finished above Tuloy and Army. And it was nearly another goal from Murbach. I'm not sure how much he knew about that, but it nearly bounced off from him into the back of the net.
Another corner opportunity for Kaya FC. Ended up connecting with the player inside the box. Chance just sails out. Kaya FC with a win today could put them back on top of the standings. But of course, Wantagig will be playing later on today as well. This is the first of a triple header Saturday. So if you're watching us now, may oras pa para pumunta dito sa Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. We still have 2 more games.
Yeah, 2 quite good games also. We have Tuloy versus Philippine Army after this match, and then at 8:30 it's going to be a big game. Wantagig against Maharlika. 2 teams in the championship group coming head to head. And just want to take the time to also promote the Minsan Football Show, which we have before every match week. And although I'm not sure how it will work this time around because we have a Wednesday match week next week, but I'll promote the Minsan Football Show nonetheless. Do tune in before every match week. Again, just want to point out also that Sports Tribe is the official match ball of the PFL. And yeah, we are back for 2026. And hopefully now we'll be back for quite a few months because there's no international break for quite some time. Continue to watch the games here in the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium or in the Dynamic Herb Cebu Sports Complex, which will be hosting games for Cebu in this round of PFL games.
Though January was pretty slow, Feb football is coming in hot. As we've mentioned, this is a triple header Saturday. And after that, on Feb 11, we're going to have 4 games available for you. A triple header here at the Rizal Memorial Stadium between Manila Digger and Valenzuela PB Mendiola. Kaya FC taking on Maharlika FC, and closing that out with Aguilas UMAC taking on Stallion Laguna. But in Dynamic Herb Stadium, it's going to be Cebu taking on Philippine Army as well. Tomorrow, we might not have some PFL action, but of course, you want to encourage everyone to support the UAAP as well. It's the semi-finals for men's football. FEU will be taking on UST, and UP will be taking on DLSU. We'll also have game fixtures for the next weekend as well, Feb 14. Ganyan ng Valentine's Day ang pagnood dito sa Rizal Memorial Stadium. And 3 games as well on Feb 15. 2 at Rizal and 1 in Cebu.
Get a lot of footballing meals for the football fans all around the world also. March, we have the Women's Asian Cup, which we'll be a part of. Training camp actually already began, according to reports. Then we have Philippines men's versus Tajikistan. That's a huge one to qualify for the Asian Cup. Of course, it's also World Cup year, so a lot of action. And I haven't even mentioned it, but we also have the Hyundai Cup for the Philippine men's. And according to reports also, that will be played, or the home games rather, will be played in New Clark City Stadium. Murbach, I'm sure, has a little bit of a glimmer of that tournament in the back of his mind. Shot taken from distance. On target. I think Matin had it covered, but because of the power, had to push it out for a corner.
Gotta love the movement that he does. Comes in from that left-hand side. Cuts it all the way inside. just outside the box, connects with teammates, sees he has some time and space, and goes for goal. Forces the keeper to make a save. And another corner for Kaya FC.
Into the near post. Martini Ray unable to get the flick on. There's actually a player on here for Don Bosco. And they just about played right. Here's Yamaguchi. 3-on-3 for an attack from the black shirts. Yamaguchi. Pass is slightly overhead. Still on though. Crossed in. Header. Headed out. Possession still with Don Bosco though. But Kaya have gotten numbers back. That was a chance maybe for consolation. They couldn't take it.
Kim Min Kap in the end. Took too long to decide to shoot or look for space.
Zambrano. Del Rosario. And another good quality of Merbach. He can get your team up the pitch. You can use him as an outlet in behind. And he can use that pace. According to his transfer mark, he also has experience as a winger on both sides. So that means at some level he has a turn of pace. Here's Menzi into the penalty box. Crossed in. Looking for Merbach. And Merbach signed a little bit too late to get into that golden boot race. But he will definitely be in and about the goals in the PFL.
This game, of course, ends with 6-0. You gotta take the positives. 1 goal less scored than the first round when these two teams met. But you have to say more attacking threat coming from Garelli this second round. If they can just get their ducks in order, they could get better results.
Of course, the transfer window is still open until Feb 25, so any activity could still happen. But it is full time here at the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium. Match number 66 of the 2025 to 2026 Philippine Football League. And 6-0 in favor of Kaya FC Iloilo over Don Bosco Garelli United. A hat trick from Julius Alexander Merbach to mark his welcome to the PFL. And goals as well from Shuto Komaki, Mike Ott, and a cameo goal off the bench from Martini Ray.
It was a fantastic game for Kaya FC Iloilo. A great way to be able to debut your new players, not only in Julius Merbach, but as well as Toyoda, their center back, and as well as their other signing of Maluman Soko, Pati Maluman Soko, the center back as well from France. They keep the clean sheet, and they showed their prowess up on top. So Kaya FC now on a 3-game winning streak and a great start to 2026.
2 games and 2 wins in 2026 for the defending champions. They're going to go on top of the league table at least for a few hours before Montague play later. But it's where they want to be at, and it's where, as a club, I'm sure they belong at. They'll feel that internally for sure. In their next game, very tough game against Maharlika, but they do have the momentum going into that one. Able to rest players as well. So I'm sure it was a perfect afternoon for Coach Yoshi. They just want to wish a speedy recovery as well to Marco Casambre. Perhaps the only downside to today's win from Kaya. Again, do stay tuned because this is only the first match we have this evening. 2 more. Tuloy versus Philippine Army up next before an 8:30 heavyweight clash between Montague and Maharlika. Again, I was your commentator for this one, Diego Cordero, and alongside me to provide her excellent analysis was Natasha Alquiros Dato. Stay tuned for the next match.
congratulations on the result. What are your thoughts of the game?
I think we fought well from the beginning. We could have been up maybe 5-6 already in the first half, and I think we just finished the game strong and controlled the game all the way in.
How do you plan to move forward given the results?
We keep working. We've had 2 really good training weeks, and coach has been really good in preparing us. So I think we're going to do the same in the next 2 weeks.
Last question, any message to the fans?
Thank you for showing out and for my warm welcome for my first game.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.